Okay, hi. Yes, I am Asia. We are just going to dive right in today. I'm the CEO and founder of DemandMaven. At DemandMaven, we work with early stage and growth stage companies on finding their growth opportunities, troubleshooting growth, and going to market. And the process that I'm going to go through today is actually the exact process that we go through with our clients. However, because we drink our own champagne, I'm also going to show you a real live working example of customer research and actually how we ultimately end up extracting insights and opportunities from a real live working database. Just going to pop on over to Airtable really quick. And okay, so I'm going to set the stage a little bit because we are going to just dive right into what this looks like in real life. So because we do drink our own champagne, we have, of course, our own customer research. This is actually real live research that we have done. I have anonymized the companies and the names here, which was pretty interesting as a process of generating some fake names of some fake companies. But everything else that's in here, it's real voice of customer. So I just want to set that stage. And also, before we jump in, I just want to make sure that we get to a place of mutual understanding of how we arrived here. Let's pretend that we interviewed, let's say, 7 to 10 customers. And then let's also pretend that the whole goal of this research was to identify where we can grow from an acquisition perspective, activation, and a retention perspective. This means that we're going to be asking questions related to overarching growth, but then also questions related to acquisition, activation, and retention. So we're going to be asking questions like, how did you find us? How do you typically find solutions or service providers? And then also questions like, what was your aha moment? What were your deal breakers? Why did you choose us over maybe other solutions? What were we competing with? And from a retention perspective, we asked questions like, okay, so how do we ultimately, how do we improve? What were some other things that you were expecting that maybe we didn't offer at the time? And we did this research I would say about a year ago. And let's just pretend that based off of those ultimate goals, strategically speaking, we then said, okay, great, let's take all the questions that we've asked. Let's also actually parse those questions and extract themes from those questions. And then let's actually build charts based off of what we find. So based off of our process, really this can be used for literally any kind of company. So like I said, all of the questions that we asked, we created a field for them. We copy pasted real voice of customer from the transcript into that field. We then created another field right next to it, and we basically created a tag. The tag's job is really just to highlight what the overarching theme was, or basically condensing the information of what the voice of customer is really saying. However, what's really cool is that we're using Airtable for this. You can use a spreadsheet. You can use really any like customer research repository tool. It could be something like Aurelius, whatever it is that you like to use, doesn't really matter as long as you're able to really create tags and build charts in some kind of way. But once we do that across all of our research, so I'm going to scroll over. So this is real, like I said, real voice of customer. This is going against every single question that we've asked. Now we get to do the really fun work of creating charts. So based off of the questions that we asked, let's start with acquisition. So what were the top ways that customers found us? And what are some also places and ways that we can not only visualize this, but what are some other opportunities that maybe we're not considering? So let's see. Let's just pretend also that I've created a chart for every single one of these questions, which is actually true. There is literally a chart for every one. Okay, so one of the top reasons why people hire DemandMaven, and of course, insert your product here. It could really be whatever it is. This can be used for any kind of company. I'm using DemandMaven because this is data I feel comfortable sharing. If it were a client, different story, but I feel like I can share this and, it'd still be helpful. But okay, based off of how people ultimately get value out of, let's say, our product, just to pretend, the number one ways that people found us were, hey, word of mouth. That was the number one thing that came up across our 7 interviews. Imagine if we had 20 interviews or 100 interviews, you'd probably get even more intense information in addition to all kinds of other data points. And especially if you condense those insights, you can arrive at maybe different conclusions. Let's say, however, I just wanted to focus on people who had a particular struggle moment. Or we could say, maybe I want to look at people who just have a particular role. We have CEOs, founders, marketers, all different kinds of stakeholders and people who hire our offering. What if we filtered this information by that? Let's just start with, let's say, struggle moment, for example. We know for a fact that one of the top reasons why our offering gets hired is because they can't validate what's working in the business. So if I were to filter that information, our charts change. So this is one of the ways that we start not only analyzing this research, but also extracting insight that we might not have had if we were just, let's say, taking notes, or if we were just, kind of doing like ad hoc research of just maybe doing random interviews or talking to customers that's not necessarily consolidated or structured in any kind of way. But this is a discovery habit. So this is related to acquisition. Let's say also that we were looking at channel opportunities. So how do people consider or find, let's say, products or solutions in general that's maybe similar to ours? Now, technically, we're not a product company, but if we were, the process would be the same. Again, word of mouth becomes a top opportunity here. Same thing from so Tiny Seed actually came up quite a lot, and various other opportunities and channels. Let's say we wanted to move to activation, and we wanted to evaluate, okay, well, we asked some questions related to activation. So what were the top drivers? But also, what were the top aha moments that you had throughout this process? Well, we can scroll down to our super fancy chart because we're using a tool like Airtable, and we can say, well, the people who had this particular struggle moment or activation moment that they were experiencing, most of the aha moments came from this one particular thing. In this case, it was a discovery call, but let's say you're a product that has a trial, or let's say you're a product that has a demo. This could actually be one of your top ways that people have aha moments. But of course, until you do the research, until you actually parse and codify this, it's kind of hard to actually see it. But for us, this was actually how we identified, oh, this was our top activation moment. Is it possible to translate that into something that we can ultimately improve? So then it really became a story around, this is their top aha moment, but maybe it's actually happening too late. Maybe it's actually something that we can ultimately optimize. Where what if instead of people having the aha moment in the demo call or the discovery call, what if they actually had the aha moment way earlier? And now we're looking at, again, operationalizing or optimizing a particular experience around activation. And of course, we know that if we kill it on acquisition, on activation and retention, then we're going to see growth. It's pretty hard actually not to, if we're not operating and executing very well in each of those areas. Let's say I also finally wanted to get to retention. So retention is all about where can we improve? What are some things that we can do that ultimately improves the experience and also keeps customers or clients, or whichever term you use, around for longer? One of the questions that we ask, not only are top deal breakers, but we also ask a question just around suggested improvements. I mentioned that we did this research in 2021, or if I didn't, we did. We did this research about a year ago. And since then, we've addressed a lot of our suggested improvements. And for us, that's translated into not only higher retention rates overall, we actually see more clients for longer, but we've also been able to identify ways that we can even go to market better because of the suggested improvements that we've gotten. Now, in a SaaS scenario or a software scenario, your answers from your customers are going to look different. Your charts are going to look different. You also might have very different questions that you're asking. It could be product related, it could be marketing or customer success, or even sales related. Ultimately, it depends on the goal of your research. But when we think about customer research and we think about getting insight and extracting opportunity from them, one of the number one secrets to that is actually, one, bringing structure to the research, but then also visually demonstrating and showing this in some kind of way. But anyway, okay, so that's really what I wanted to show you guys today. It's one really specific nugget. If there was one thing I would say to walk away with, it is to be thinking about how you can not only structure your research, but also how can you visualize it so people can see visually, oh, these were the top suggested improvements, or oh my gosh, these were the top competitive differentiators. These were our top competing alternatives. And these are just examples of what we were looking for, but your research might point to something very different. But anyway, okay, that was really all I had today. Just wanted to dive in, show that to you guys. And yeah, happy to answer any questions in the meantime.
Love it, Asia. Thank you so much for that. Bang on time. Full of nuggets, gold nuggets, in fact, as Dev Basu said. So really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time today. Hopefully you can hop in and speak to some of the SaaStock attendees there. I'm sure they've got some questions for you. So thanks again, Asia Orangio, CEO of DemandMaven.
Yes, thank you.